The rise of Islam in the 7th century AD ushered in an era of unprecedented intellectual and cultural flourishing. This period marked the beginning of a golden age where knowledge, science, and culture thrived under the patronage of Islamic rulers and scholars. From the Iberian Peninsula to the borders of China, the Islamic world became a beacon of knowledge and progress. The rapid expansion of the Islamic Empire facilitated the exchange of ideas, cultures, and technologies across vast regions, creating a melting pot of innovation and learning. This period, often referred to as the Golden Age of Islam, witnessed remarkable advancements in a myriad of fields, leaving an enduring legacy on human civilization. Scholars from diverse backgrounds came together in cities like Baghdad, Cairo, and Cordoba, contributing to a vibrant intellectual community. Muslim scholars, driven by a thirst for knowledge and a spirit of inquiry, made groundbreaking contributions to mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. Their work was characterized by meticulous observation, experimentation, and a deep respect for the knowledge of previous civilizations. They translated and preserved ancient Greek and Roman texts, ensuring the survival of classical knowledge during the Dark Ages in Europe. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad became a renowned center for translation and learning, where scholars of various faiths worked together to expand the horizons of human understanding. This treasure trove of wisdom laid the foundation for the European Renaissance centuries later. The works of Islamic scholars were studied and revered by European intellectuals, who built upon their discoveries to usher in a new era of scientific and cultural rebirth. One of the most significant contributions of Islamic civilization was the development of algebra, a word derived from the Arabic al-jabr. This mathematical discipline revolutionized the way calculations were performed and paved the way for advancements in various scientific fields. Muslim mathematicians like al-Khwarizmi revolutionized the field, introducing concepts that formed the bedrock of modern mathematics. His works on algebra and algorithms were instrumental in shaping the mathematical landscape of the future. In astronomy, figures like al-Biruni made accurate measurements of the Earth's circumference and challenged the geocentric model of the universe. Their observations and calculations were remarkably precise, laying the groundwork for future astronomical discoveries. Islamic medicine reached new heights during this era. The comprehensive medical texts produced by Islamic scholars covered a wide range of topics, from anatomy and pharmacology to surgery and psychology. Physicians like al-Razi and Ibn Sina, known in the West as Rhazes and Avicenna, made significant strides in understanding diseases and treatments. Their encyclopedic works, such as the Kitab al-Hawi and the Canon of Medicine, became essential references for medical practitioners. Their medical texts became standard works in European universities for centuries. The influence of Islamic medicine extended far beyond the Islamic world, shaping the development of medical science in Europe and beyond. The Islamic world's emphasis on hygiene and public health, evident in the construction of hospitals and bathhouses, far surpassed the standards of medieval Europe. These institutions not only provided medical care but also served as centers for medical education and research. Libraries and educational institutions flourished, housing vast collections of manuscripts and fostering an environment of intellectual exchange. The architectural marvels of the Islamic world, from the grand mosques to the intricate palaces, reflected the sophistication and cultural richness of this era. Trade routes connecting the Islamic world with Africa, Europe, and Asia facilitated not only the exchange of goods but also ideas and knowledge. Bustling markets and cultural exchanges enriched the Islamic civilization, making it a dynamic and interconnected society. The arts also flourished, with Islamic calligraphy, architecture, and decorative arts reaching new heights of beauty and sophistication. Artisans and craftsmen created works that continue to inspire and captivate audiences to this day. The legacy of the Islamic Golden Age endures, with modern scholars continuing to study and celebrate the achievements of this remarkable period. Contemporary Islamic cultural events and institutions draw inspiration from this rich heritage, ensuring that the spirit of inquiry and innovation lives on. The flourishing of Islamic civilization during its golden age left an indelible mark on the world, shaping the course of history and laying the foundations for future generations. Its influence can still be seen in the architecture, science and culture of modern societies, a testament to the enduring legacy of this extraordinary era. Despite the remarkable achievements of the Golden Age, the seeds of decline were sown within the Islamic world itself. The era was marked by unprecedented advancements in science, medicine, mathematics, and philosophy. However, beneath this golden veneer, internal strife and theological discord began to take root, setting the stage for future challenges. Internal conflicts and theological debates, while initially fostering intellectual discourse, gradually led to a narrowing of thought and a decline in the spirit of inquiry. Scholars who once thrived on diverse perspectives and rigorous debate found themselves increasingly constrained by dogmatic boundaries. The vibrant intellectual atmosphere that had characterized the Golden Age began to wane as ideological rigidity took hold. The Islamic Empire, vast and diverse, was not immune to political fragmentation. The sheer size of the empire, stretching from the Iberian Peninsula in the west to the Indian subcontinent in the east, made it difficult to govern effectively. Regional governors and local leaders often sought greater autonomy, leading to a gradual erosion of central authority. After the era of the early caliphates, the empire fractured into smaller sultanates and emirates, often at odds with one another. These political entities, while culturally and economically vibrant, were frequently engaged in power struggles that sapped their collective strength. The unity that had once been a hallmark of the Islamic world gave way to a patchwork of competing states. These divisions, fueled by power struggles and sectarian tensions, diverted resources from intellectual pursuits and created an environment of instability. The constant jockeying for power among rival factions meant that resources that could have been used to support scholars and educational institutions were instead funneled into military campaigns and political machinations. Within the religious sphere, theological debates, particularly those concerning the nature of God and the interpretation of the Quran, intensified. These debates were not merely academic, they had profound implications for the social and political fabric of the Islamic world. Different schools of thought vied for dominance, each seeking to impose its own interpretation of Islamic doctrine. While these debates initially encouraged philosophical inquiry and theological reflection, they gradually led to the rise of more rigid and dogmatic interpretations of Islam. The once thriving culture of intellectual diversity began to shrink as scholars who espoused unorthodox views found themselves increasingly marginalized. The Mutazilite school of thought, known for its emphasis on reason and free will, lost ground to the Asharite school, which emphasized God's absolute power and predestination. This shift had far-reaching consequences as the Asharite perspective became increasingly dominant, shaping the theological landscape of the Islamic world for centuries to come. This shift towards a more literal interpretation of Scripture had profound implications for intellectual freedom. The emphasis on predestination and divine omnipotence left little room for the kind of freewheeling intellectual exploration that had characterized the earlier period. As a result, the spirit of inquiry that had once driven the Islamic Golden Age began to wane, and the seeds of decline took root. The decline was not immediate, nor was it uniform across the Islamic world. In some regions, centers of learning continued to thrive for centuries. However, the overall trend was one of increasing conservatism and intellectual stagnation. The great libraries and institutions of learning that had once been the pride of the Islamic world began to fall into disrepair, and the scholars who had once been celebrated for their contributions to human knowledge found themselves increasingly sidelined. The legacy of the Golden Age, however, was not entirely lost. The achievements of Islamic scholars during this period laid the groundwork for future advancements in a variety of fields. Even as the Islamic world grappled with internal conflicts and theological debates, the knowledge and discoveries of its scholars continued to influence the broader course of human history. Today, the contributions of the Islamic Golden Age are recognized and celebrated around the world. Modern scholars continue to study the works of medieval Islamic thinkers, and the architectural and cultural achievements of the period remain a source of inspiration. The story of the Islamic Golden Age is a testament to the enduring power of human curiosity and the quest for knowledge, even in the face of internal conflicts and theological debates. As theological rigidity took hold, a profound shift began to take place within the intellectual landscape of the Islamic world. A climate of intolerance began to emerge in some parts of the Islamic world, where once the pursuit of knowledge and scholarly debate had flourished. This growing intolerance manifested in the persecution of scholars who dared to challenge prevailing orthodoxies or explore new frontiers of knowledge. These scholars, who once thrived in an environment that celebrated intellectual curiosity, now found themselves at odds with a society increasingly resistant to change. The pursuit of knowledge, once celebrated as a sacred duty in Islam, became increasingly viewed with suspicion by those who saw it as a threat to their authority. The very essence of Islamic scholarship, which had been built on the principles of inquiry and debate, was now under siege. One of the most tragic examples of this intolerance was the persecution of the philosopher and scientist Ibn Rushd, known in the West as Averroes. His life and work epitomized the struggle between reason and dogma, a struggle that would have far-reaching consequences for the intellectual heritage of the Islamic world. A polymath who made significant contributions to astronomy, medicine, and philosophy, Ibn Rushd was accused of heresy for his attempts to reconcile Aristotelian philosophy with Islamic theology. His efforts to bridge the gap between reason and faith were met with fierce opposition from those who viewed his ideas as a direct challenge to their religious authority. His books were burned and he was forced into exile. The destruction of his works and the silencing of his voice were not just personal tragedies, but symbolic of a broader assault on intellectual freedom. The persecution of scholars like Ibn Rushd had a chilling effect on intellectual discourse. The fear of retribution stifled the once vibrant culture of debate and inquiry, leading to a profound sense of loss within the scholarly community. The fear of being branded as heretics or apostates discouraged many from pursuing independent thought or questioning established dogma. Scholars who once engaged in lively debates now found themselves whispering in secrecy, their voices muted by the ever-present threat of persecution. This climate of fear and censorship stifled creativity and innovation, contributing to the gradual decline of intellectual life in the Islamic world. The once great centers of learning, which had been beacons of knowledge and progress, began to fade into obscurity. The loss of these intellectual giants and the suppression of free thought left an indelible mark on the history of Islamic scholarship, a legacy of missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. Yet, despite the persecution and the climates of fear, the spirit of inquiry and the quest for knowledge never completely vanished. In hidden corners and behind closed doors, scholars continued to seek truth and understanding, preserving the flame of intellectual pursuit for future generations. Today, the legacy of these persecuted scholars serves as a reminder of the importance of intellectual freedom and the dangers of dogmatic rigidity. Their contributions, though often unrecognized in their time, continue to inspire and inform the ongoing pursuit of knowledge in the modern world. As we reflect on this chapter of history, we are reminded of the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of knowledge. The story of extremism and the persecution of scholars is not just a tale of loss, but also one of hope and perseverance, a testament to the unyielding quest for truth that defines the human experience.